Okay, let's look at kind of a silly program that I came up with in C++. So I'm just going to run this, and what's going to happen is it's going to ask me for two integers, start and end. So, a user might not even know really what start end is. Basically what this app is going to do is it's going to count from the starting number that they enter to the ending number that I enter. So if I say start at 3 and end at, 12, then it's going to count from 3 to 12. So that's all well and good. The problem comes if we look at the code. So I'm entering in these two values, and then basically I'm just looping from the start value until I get to the end value, including the end value, and just printing out I, right? Well, what happens if they don't really understand what start and end is, and they go, all right, well, two integers, let's do 14 and 7, counting 14 to 7, and they don't get anything, and they're kind of like, well, that's a stupid program, right? And I don't really blame them. So what I want to do is I want to come up with a function where if my start and end, if my start is higher than my end variable, then it'll just swap them for me, and then I don't have to worry about it. So I'm going to call this function swap, and let's make it a Boolean. So I'd like to know if the swap actually happened, and maybe I can do a little message for them saying, hey, I flipped the numbers for you, or something like that. Or next time do the lower number first, or whatever. It doesn't really matter. All I want is I want the Boolean back to know that it happened. Think about the try parse from C#. What that gave us back is, could this string be turned into an integer or a double, right? So we got a Boolean back if it worked. If it didn't work, we got a false back, right? So true, hey, yeah, it worked. Go ahead and use this number. False, nope, it didn't work. So, sometimes it's useful, and this is a good way too to get back kind of multiple values from a function. If you think of it that way, that's not technically correct, but so let's call this bool swap. And then we're going to do int low and int high. Now I'm going to tell you right off the bat, this first way is not going to work. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to say if low is less than high, then return true, right? Because that's all good. We don't want to do anything with it. Otherwise, we're just going to return false. So that's fine, except we didn't fix the problem, right? Start is still, if they entered in, 37 for start and 2 for end, start is still the high number, even if we call this. So what I want to do is I want to, if I'm at this point in the program, I know that these numbers are backwards, right? I should actually do less than or equal to, because otherwise, So anyway, so if I'm at this point, I want to actually flip them. So I'm going to just create a temporary variable here real quick. So I'm going to do int temp equals low, and then I'll say low equals high, and I'll do high equals temp. Right? Because if I just do low equals high, high equals low, then I overrode my low variable right here, and I would lose it. So I gotta just throw something in there temporarily to hold that value for me. Okay, so let's call our function, see what happens. So I'm gonna do bool swapped equals swap start end. Okay, and we'll do if swapped something like that. I don't know. Okay, so let's run it. And let's do something bigger first. So we're going to do 12, comma, well, not comma, but 6. Counting from 12 to 6. Okay, so right off the bat, it didn't seem to work, right? So let's see what's happening. Let's run it again, 12, 6. Okay, so start is 12, end is 6. I'm stepping in. 12 is not less than or equal to, so I should step over that. Okay. Low is 12, so it's going to plug it in there. High is 6, so it's going to override low. Temp 12. Boom. I actually mixed these values up. That's why I'm not getting my thing. But let's just look here. So high is 12, low is 6. That's the way we want it. So we swapped them. And now start. Look, it didn't change. What the heck? Right? So just like in the previous video when I did it in C#, by default, the way that C# works and the way that C++ works is if you don't specify anything, it's going to copy the values of your variables into these other variables. This low variable is different than the start variable. So in C#, I wrote the ref keyword to make it a reference. There is no ref keyword. Instead, what I do below the variable name is I put the ampersand. So that means by reference. So now, rather than creating new variables for high and low, these are going to reference these variables in memory. They're going to point to the same spot in memory as these are. So when these change, like they are here, guess what's going to happen? These are going to change as well. I'm also going to fix this because if we're not swapping them, I want it to be false, right? So I swapped false, and then this should be true. So sorry about that. And so let's see what happens when I do my 12 and 6 this time. So 12, 6, and there we go. So I fixed them for you, counting from 6 to 12. Let's see what happens if I enter it in the right way. 6, 12. Cool, counting from 6 to 12. So it didn't do the swap that time because it didn't need to. Therefore, I did not get this error message. Okay, so these ampersands are what make it by reference. Now, one thing I want to just point out, if I do my function prototype, I still need the ampersands. Even if you choose to omit the variable names, it still needs to know that these are by reference. That is part of the signature. So this is a reference integer, not just a normal integer as well. So I'll run it just so it compiles so you see it run. Okay, so by reference, just remember that you're referencing the same spot in memory. By value means that the value is getting copied into the new variable. Okay, so hope that helps you out.